Anita Sarkeesian of the Feminist Frequency has described her videos as a conversation with pop culture. For a conversation to exist, multiple perspectives must be voiced. Unfortunately, Anita has a reputation of subjective opinions, research riddled with confirmation bias, and censoring anyone who disagrees with her. So let's examine tropes versus women.
Who remembers the 1994 issue of Green Lantern number 54, where Kyle Rayner finds that his girlfriend, Alex DeWitt, has been brutally murdered and stuffed into a fridge? Okay, well, I've never actually read Green Lantern.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Lois, this is not my Batman glass.
Anita hasn't even read the source material from which this entire video is based? I'm not a reader of comic books. My knowledge is limited to what has been adapted for TV or movies. I don't publicly criticize something I know nothing about without looking into it. How is it then that Anita even has enough knowledge to make a video about this?
But thankfully Gail Simone did, because she began to see a trend.
Oh, Anita found someone else's opinion and adopted it as her own.
Simone was sick of seeing superheroines who have either been depowered, raped, or cut up and stuck in the refrigerator.
Superheroes that have been depowered count too? So every time Superman encounters kryptonite, or Batman changes back into Bruce Wayne, those will be counted too, right?
Nope.
In 1999, she created a startlingly long list of over 90 comics that feature female superheroes who suffered a loss of superpowers, brutal violation, or an untimely gruesome death.
Revenge is one of the 20 basic plots. A revenge plot requires a corpse to get it rolling. In other words, a plot device where one character's death motivates another into action is a foundational element of writing.
She called this reoccurring pattern women in refrigerators, for obvious reasons. Since it was originally created, the list has continued to grow. I'm just going to show you a few examples. Who remembers the 1994 issue of Green Lantern number 54, where Kyle Rayner finds that his girlfriend, Alex DeWitt, has been brutally murdered and stuffed into a fridge?
Alex DeWitt's Wikipedia page has no mention of her superpowers. She's not a superheroine. Or is girl power a superpower now?
Spider-Man's first love, Gwen Stacy.
She's not a superheroine. I thought this was a superhero trope. Next.
In the Batman universe, Stephanie Brown, who's played many characters such as the Spoiler, a female Robin, and also Batgirl, was gruesomely tortured to death with a power drill by Batman's enemy, the Black Mask.
Congratulations for finally making your point.
The highly sexualized images of Brown being tortured spanned across multiple issues. Some fans were so outraged by this fridging of Batgirl that they refer to this as torture porn.
So do only women get tortured in comic books? Or is it only offensive when it happens to women?
Another strong female superhero who met an untimely and trivial death was Big Barda. She was the leader of the Female Furies,
Them?
and also a member of Birds of Prey and the Justice League. She was married to Mr. Miracle, and interestingly, she was actually physically stronger than her superhero husband. Although Big Barda had all of these superpowers, she was killed in her kitchen with no sign of a real battle.
So it's offensive if a female character gets tortured to death. It's also offensive if a female character gets killed off-panel without a battle. So remember, kids, use just the right amount of violence whenever you kill off a female character.
Comic books can be a little bit difficult to follow.
No, they're not comic books, they're graphic novels.
Since characters are killed and then brought back to life, or there's multiple canons in different books for the same characters. So this doesn't hold true across the board, but it certainly happens a lot. Women in Refrigerators is one way of making sense of this incredibly complex world by pulling out overarching patterns of the way women are treated in comic books.
Oh my god, there's so much failed. You cannot just narrow your scope in order to look for overarching patterns. It's like studying one tribal village in the rainforest and then concluding that the culture of the entire world is exactly like that one.
When Simone released her list in 1999, there was an instant backlash from some comic book fans who thought it was unfair that they were singling out female characters.
Because when you're making a case that comic books are sexist against women, it's absolutely unfair to exclude male characters from your analysis. Again, this is confirmation bias.
This criticism happens whenever we point out tropes specifically about women. In this case, comic book fans criticized women in Refrigerators by saying that male heroes get killed and tortured too, so what's the big deal?
That's a very good question.
In fact, this is the exact question an intellectually honest person would ask before declaring that the women in refrigerators trope is sexist. But do Anita or Gail address this question?
Nope! I'm sorry, that sounded like no.
The people who run the Women in Refrigerators website responded to this by creating another trope. How much do I love fans? Called Dead Men Defrosting. Comic fan John Bartle explains in cases where male heroes have been altered or appear to die, they usually come back even better than before, either power-wise or in terms of character development relevancy to the reader.
Come on, death isn't the handicap it used to be in the olden days. It doesn't screw your career up the way it used to.
So instead of addressing the criticism that the trope lacked objectivity, they deflected the question by claiming that when a male character is killed, raped, or depowered, it doesn't count because... It doesn't matter. If the dead man defrosting trope ever existed in tvtropes.com, it has long since been deleted. And the women in refrigerators? Nothing more than a referral page. So what happened? It turns out that there are too many examples of women in refrigerators happening to men that had to be made gender neutral, and is now known simply as stuffed in the fridge.
How much do I love fans?
Apparently not enough to properly research your work. Oh, you did! It just didn't support your ideology, so you failed to include it.
Writers are using the women in refrigerators trope to literally trade a female character's life for the benefit of a male character's story arc. They're making clear that women, even powerful female superheroes, are basically disposable.
Can you name 10 movies where there are more female deaths than male deaths? Now tell me, which sex is portrayed as disposable in fiction? Or reality, for that matter?
It's important to remember that these comics don't exist in a vacuum, that they're created by artists and writers who live in the same sexist social systems that we all do, and that's reflected in the characters and the stories. It's saddening to see how flippantly and trivially violence against women is treated in comic book pages, even with the most powerful of female superheroes, especially when violence against women in the real world are at epidemic levels. We have to remember that the Women in Refrigerators list was created for us to identify, understand, and resist the variety of ways that women and our fictional representations are disempowered and victimized. I'm not saying women can't ever die in comic books, but it matters how and why they die.
Yes, you are. That's exactly what you're saying. Because if a female character dies, she'll be put on this stupid list as proof of sexism. And then when male characters get treated in the same way, well, they'll be ignored.
So comic books...
It's a graphic novel, Joel.
TV and movie writers and video game producers, stop relying on stereotypical tropes. Stop using violence against women as a way to further the storyline of your male hero, and start writing us as full and complete human beings. Okay? Okay.
Okay.